I'm going to say I have a one-to-many program, and all of a sudden I'm going to get 50 people who are going to pay less money. Like, instead of paying $1,000 a month, they'll pay $300 a month. And if I get 10 people, instead of earning $1,000 one-on-one, I'm earning $3,000 one-to-many. It seems all upside, right? But what happens is the people that have paid you $300 still have the expectation of the service that the people at one-to-one have, and then they still want your time. They're still going to come at you with questions. People don't just sit back and go, oh, well, I'm in a one-to-many program and therefore I'm going to be more one-to-passive. So what can end up happening with group is you end up solving one-on-one problems for one-to-many pricing. You know, I've seen it all the time. Oh, I have a one-to-many program, but now you're just getting peppered with 10 questions a day instead of one, and you're getting paid a crappy rate to do it.
Hey there, expert. If you're a consultant looking to grow your practice to 500K and beyond, then this masterclass is a preview into some of the strategies and tactics we teach our experts around sales, marketing, and how to create high converting offers and delivery system so they can enjoy more profit without sacrificing their lifestyle. Now, if you like this session, please give us a like, a subscribe, or even comment. Every bit of engagement helps get this message out to more people. Anyway, enjoy the masterclass, and we hope to see you in person, on a call, or at one of our events soon.
So, group program design. Who here in the chat, if it's you, is interested or is potentially curious about how you could turn what you do into something where you're delivering not just one-to-one, but you're delivering to maybe 2 or more people at a time, much like I'm doing right now? Who is interested who's interested in doing it, right? Must be a business model, Derek. Yep, cool. If you are interested in it, can you say why? Why? Why are you interested in group? What's the drive, the motivation? What is the thing that is important for you? Why? Ivan, great. Leverage. So I'm going to write some words here on the iPad. The why, off the first man off the block, is Ivan with leverage. And leverage, Ivan, I'm assuming, is definitely correlated to time, and therefore there may be some benefit in money, right? And we're going to go through some ideas today. Rob said, I have a lot of low-priced people who need my help. Right, so there's low-priced people, and you think that you're going to get more numbers, right? So low-priced people get more numbers, and you'll have you'll be able to deliver to more people at once. Free up my delivery time, work less and earn more. Fantastic, cool. Leverage, time leverage, and broader reach. So it's about delivery efficiency, right? As another time leverage, says Anthony. Impact at scale, says Derek. Yep. And I love that, with a scale price point. Fantastic. The reason why people want to do group programs, you guys have nailed it. Most of the time when the marketplace says deliver one-to-many, it comes down to a couple of things, right? You've used it. It's about leverage, which they're talking about with delivery, right? If you can deliver, if we just look at the numbers, if you can deliver 1 hour and you can effectively talk to 50 people, and 50 people are paying you $1,000 a month, you've effectively in 1 hour, I know this doesn't correlate to that, but you're effectively getting paid $50,000, to deliver a 1 hour keynote, right? Whereas if you, in the same thing, if you had an hour and you were delivering to one person, the same topic, and they were paying you, $1,000 a month, you've effectively made $1,000. So you can see that there's a thing here about scale your revenue, scale your delivery, and therefore you can scale the results that you've got. So it's a very sexy and appealing thing, one-to-many. And having done coaching for many, many years, I've done everything from total leveraged online courses. I've done one-to-one high-level consulting. I've done one-to-many group sessions like this. And I've been able to see the best and the worst, what works for me, and what might work for you. And I want to share today some of the concepts and ideas and actually bust a few myths that the gurus will tell you you've got to go one-to-many, but they actually don't tell you what the pitfalls are of one-to-many as well. So I think there is major upside when it comes to one-to-many, major upside, but there is also a number of downsides that you need to be prepared for before you jump in and decide that one-to-many is what you want to do, okay? Because if it was that easy and it was the miracle way of delivering a coaching program, everyone would do one-to-many. But I believe there's a good middle ground, and I want to share that with you guys today. First of all, grab a piece of paper and a pen. If you don't already, come to these masterclasses with one of these. Delivering one-to-many, the promise of today's session is how do we deliver one-to-many? How I converted one-to-one delivery into one-to-many delivery in 90 days. So we're going to set some rules of the game. What's the easiest thing to sell when you first start out as a consultant or a coach? What's the easiest thing to sell? Easiest thing to sell. What do you think it is?
One-to-one.
Was that Rob?
One-to-one.
Anthony says an outcome. Yeah. But what? Like with that outcome, yeah, Rob said one-to-one, right? One-to-one. Why do you think, everybody, that one-to-one is the easiest thing to sell? Why is one-to-one the easiest thing to sell, do you reckon? What do you think the reason for one-to-one being the easiest thing to sell is? Easy to deliver, right? Yeah. People want the personalized help. I love it. It's more bespoke, Derek. And do you think that we charge at the start, when we first start, the rate that we charge? Yeah, Rob said, because you can adapt to each individual. Absolutely. If you're not 100% sure on your program, your IP, how to turn your experience and expertise into a more productized vehicle, it's very easy just to work a little bit more organically with a person, and you could be a little bit more fluid. You don't need to necessarily have all of this knowledge set up and ready to go. So the easiest way for me to start is to say, hey, Ivan, you've got a problem. I actually have a solution. How about I work with you to solve that problem in exchange for some money, and we just keep working together for X period of time for X amount of dollars. How about that? It's the easiest transaction of knowledge into a plan that solves a problem, and therefore that turns into income. Easiest thing to do. But then somebody comes along and says, hey, have you ever thought about one-to-many? And everyone's like, this is it, right? Because what's going to happen, everyone, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to say I have a one-to-many program, and all of a sudden I'm going to get 50 people who are going to pay less money. Like instead of paying $1,000 a month, they'll pay $300 a month. And if I get 10 people, instead of earning $1,000 one-on-one, I'm earning $3,000 one-to-many. It seems all upside, right? But what happens is the people that have paid you $300 still have the expectation of the service that the people at one-to-one have. And then they still want your time. They're still going to come at you with questions. People don't just sit back and go, oh, well, I'm in a one-to-many program, and therefore I'm going to be more one-to-passive, and then, hopefully. So what can end up happening with group is you end up solving one-on-one problems for one-to-many pricing. I've seen it all the time. Oh, I have a one-to-many program, but now you're just getting peppered with 10 questions a day instead of one, and you're getting paid a crappy rate to do it. Now, that's one problem. The other problem is that in order to have a one-to-many program, you need cash flow. And the easiest way to build cash flow is to start working one-to-one with people first. And everyone's like, Rana, one-to-one's a dirty word. No, it's not a dirty word. Here's the reality. There is two concepts in coaching. There is depth versus width. Depth is one-to-one. Width is one-to-many. You can serve more people at scale, but there are people at the start who you can go deeper with and therefore will pay you a little bit more to do that. And both are valid, but there's a compromise. So if you grab a piece of paper and a pen, which, I hopefully you have, I want you to just draw a line like this. And then what we're going to do is we're going to draw like a model. It should look a little something like this. And at the top, I want you to put personalized. And below personalized, I want you to write what would be the easiest way for you to sell your product or service at the moment. Like if you were doing one-to-one. Now, assuming at the moment you're in that startup phase, you don't need scale and leverage if you don't have enough clients. So I understand the knowledge is helpful, but what's the easiest thing to sell is to start getting the data on your market by working closer with people one-on-one to understand what they need, how they think, how you can deliver your services. Because before you start going one-to-many, you actually need to have an understanding of what IP you have, the processes that you deliver, and how you can start to productize that. Because one-to-many without structure is called chaos. One-to-many without structure is called chaos. So the first thing you want to do is you want to write down, if you have your program, your personalized program, how would you deliver it? What's the modality? Well, let's assume it's one-to-one. How often, let's talk about frequency. How often would they catch up with you? They'd probably catch up with you, you could say, maybe monthly. Each month, how long do you spend with them? An hour. All right, now, how many hours do you allow for check-ins and support? Maybe another hour. Is it monthly or is it weekly? So what we look at is the modality is one-to-one. The frequency is monthly. It could be different. You could do it weekly. You could do it fortnightly. Do you know what I've found to be the best? This is just me. Over many, many years, I've found if you're going to do personalized touch points, fortnightly is perfect. I find that really, and therefore, if frequency is higher, then if frequency is higher, then timing, as in duration, can be shorter. Duration can be shorter. So if I'm going to catch up with someone monthly, then what you can do is you might do a 90-minute. If you're going to catch up with someone fortnightly, you might do 45 minutes to an hour. If you're going to catch up weekly, 30 minutes is enough. Because what are you going to talk about every week? So these are the most important things in terms of your development of your program is modality. How do you deliver it? Like at the top, for a more personalized service, it's got to be one-to-one or done for you. Service-based. Duration, how much contact time do you give them per month? Is it once a month, twice a month, 4 times a month? How often? And then duration, how long are the sessions? And duration has a correlation to frequency. So choose your own adventure, but what I find is at the start, the easiest thing to price is your personalized coaching. So if you don't have 10 clients, then you do not want to go into group coaching until you have 10 clients. Do you know why? Because if you can't attract and retain at least 10 clients, well, you probably aren't going to have the ingredients and the skill set to manage or enough people to actually move into a one-to-many program. Sorry to burst your bubble if that's the case. And I say this because trying to sell people a one-to-many program when you've only got one client is kind of like a moot point, right? Because in order to have a one-to-many program, you need to have many people to come to it. And what I find is it's around about 30 to 50% of clients, maybe even less, let's just say 30%, maybe even less, that will come to group sessions. And not all sessions will appeal to all people. So for example, today we have 2 masterclass sessions. We have an AM and a PM. Sometimes this session will get 13 people, 14 people, and then the PM session will get 3 or 4, and then sometimes it swaps. And depending on the topic, sometimes we have a dozen or so people, and sometimes we have a few people. Right? So you realize that having a one-to-many program is only helpful if you have enough clients to make it one-to-many. So I would suggest that as you get to around 10 clients, maybe 8 to 10, start working one-on-one first, because it also, firstly, it gives you cash flow. And then secondly, it actually gives you the data, the knowledge, the information. That's my recommendation. Does that mean that's the only way to do it? No, not at all. If you want to go one-to-many from day dot and you can fill it up fast, go for it. But I'm going to share with you the other side to it. So why we get everybody to do a money model when we come in here is because our money model forces you to start to think about how you should productize your delivery. Even if you don't want to, it forces you to have to think about how you do what you do. Because if you don't know how you do what you do, then how are you going to deliver a leveraged program? Because it relies on you if you don't have it. If you don't have a productized delivery method, then it relies on personalized delivery. So the trade-off of not getting your house in order is that you've got to fill the gaps with your own time. The benefit of taking the time to record and get everything in order is that content gives you a baseline to, and at the bottom level, productize. Right? So at the top, we've got personalized, and at the bottom, we've got productize. Now, here's what most of the gurus won't tell you is that one-to-many doesn't happen or you don't just go one-to-many straight away. Never. It's impossible to happen because there is no way on this earth that you can go one-to-many without some kind of productized course, program, system, or structure. It's impossibly difficult. You will be chasing your tail. You might be able to do it, but as you scale, the cracks will appear, and then it's much harder to build the foundation once the house is built. So the reason what you're going to find a lot of people do is they start one-to-one, step 1, and then as they're doing it, because it gets taxing to do one-to-one, 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 they start to productize how they deliver, because what they realize is that 80% of what they're delivering is probably the same for every client. So what I mean by that and what we talk about is the principles are the same, the IP is the same, the phases are similar, and all that comes down to a very clear plan. The plan is productized in a way, right? It's like, well, here's what I've come to know after working with 10 people. In the first 30 days, this happens. So I do this with them. In the second 30 days, this kind of happens. So I do this with them. In the third, and you start to plot a program, right? A journey. And it's basically productized. Even if you haven't recorded modules and all that funky stuff, at least you'll have an idea of the steps that you could take. So worst case scenario, if you brought on a new client what could you do? Well, brought on a new client, you could give them a bit of a playbook, a bit of a journey. And, it could look a little something like, this. Where I could tell you what the journey is before you've even begun, to give you some vision for the future and an understanding of what's going to happen. Not because everything is productized. I can still customize a bit, but what it does is it allows me to plot the path for the client that I'm going to work with. That's important. If you want a group session, if you want leverage, if you want one-to-many, if you want to scale one-to-one, everything will come down to your ability. Everything will come down to your ability to be able to demonstrate what you do and how you do it. So we often find that then that's where people kind of get stuck, right? They have they've got this IP. The IP that they have is limited to 10 people. And only 10 people ever see that IP. They're like, I've done all this work and only 10 people see it. So we call it, you've kind of got this other dilemma then, don't you? You go, I've got, not everyone wants to pay, my rate, even, because whatever you value will be what you comfortably price at. So if you don't feel comfortable pricing, if you go, oh geez, I just think I'm worth $1,000 a month, you'll just price at $1,000 a month. It doesn't matter whether the value or economics of anything work. You'll just price based on what you feel you're worth. It doesn't matter. I've seen it time and time again. And over time, what you see people do is their belief in themselves grows. And as their belief grows, so does their pricing. It's always the way. Everything. Belief sets the baseline for your income, especially when you're in the initial stages. And the cool thing about belief is that it's totally flexible, right? The more you believe, the more that belief is transferable, the more someone believes in what you do and the more they pay you. And then ultimately you just grow. So when someone says, what should I price? I just want to ask them some questions to see how much they believe. And so what you realize is that as you get further on, you start to look at things and you go, well, cool, I've got this personalized thing. I've got 3 or 4 clients. It's going well. I want to go one-to-many because that will get me there faster. And you're like, well, actually, yes and no. And so what I did is I realized that I wanted to get enough clients that I earned the income that I was happy with. So for example, we've all got an income goal, the income that we want to make and the income that we need to make. And the need to make income is the stuff that is just enough to make sure that we've got most of what we do covered. It's, for some people it might be a few $1,000s. For some people it might be $5,000. For some people it might be $10,000. But get enough one-to-one clients to just give you a baseline and a buffer. Because then you can control the relationship with one person easier than you can control the relationship with 10 people. So personalization at scale is incredibly difficult without structure, right? Which is what this is. So the best thing you should do is work with enough clients one-to-one until you've got your structure set, which is why we do the money model, which is why we get everything together, we solidify that offer. And then over time, the easiest way to introduce a one-to-many model is to start to look at inviting, what I call inviting down. So when you've got 8 to 10 clients, rather than start a one-to-many program, there is kind of like 2 steps. That's confusing because we've got numbers. I'm going to go A and B. So if I was to start a group program in 90 days, there is 2 steps. Step A is I would invite people down.
Hey, if you're enjoying what you're hearing so far, please like, subscribe, and comment. Getting this out to more people is why we do it, and hearing from you makes it all worthwhile. So please let us know. And by the way, if you'd like more information about the Expert Project, head on over to expertproject.com/launch, where you can tell us a bit more about your business, what you might be needing, how we might be able to help, and book a call with one of our team so we can help you grow your consulting business today.
So group programs work differently to one-to-one delivery. And over the years, there's a couple of things that I found that work really, that are very important. Retention happens in group programs at a different scale to one-on-one because relationship drives retention. So in group, relationship, either you have to hire another coach. So relationship is hard because either you have to so you have to do events, like I'll share with you what we do, but ultimately relationship is important. So relationship is, you want to introduce clients together. So what I would do once a month is instead of having a one-to-one conversation about a topic, invite 5 people to a call and do a bit of a round table with everybody and get everybody to start sharing their thoughts on it. So instead of coaching, you start to facilitate. So instead of coaching, you facilitate. So facilitation is different from coaching because you're basically asking questions and getting your audience to answer them, and then everybody helps each other. So relationship is important. You don't have a group program yet, but once a month you would do a group session and you would bring your clients together, like what we're doing right now. Hey, I'm doing a workshop at the end of the month on this topic. You know, I'm doing it on this topic. I'm inviting my clients together. Would you like to come to it? You know, Anthony, Rob, Derek, Ivan, Zlatko, Catherine, you want to come? And I'll invite some people, and maybe 3 people show up, and we just have a 3 conversation. What that does is it helps me understand what group programming is like. It shows me where my deficiencies are, where I need to become a better facilitator, where it helps me build the structure for group programming. How do I set up a session? What questions do I ask? How do I shut up and let people talk? How do I ask better questions? How do I get engagement, right? Because relationship is important, but engagement is key. So engagement is like the things that you do, the questions you ask, what you get people to comment on or post. So engagement is critical. And what I do is I would open up some form of community, either a WhatsApp channel, a Slack channel, a circle community, a Facebook group, and I would put a few people in there and I would share some ideas once a week. So I would start to give people the idea, my clients an idea that, hey, there's other people doing this, and you have to be the one that drives it. So community is about conversation. Really, that's what's the conversation you're having at the moment? People ask it to put a topic in, it starts a conversation. You have to lead it first. So you might put a topic in for the week. Hey guys, question, what do you think about, hey, I just had this idea on how to do this, what are your thoughts? So you have to then be the one to drop ideas into the group. Where I see a lot of people fail with group programming is they treat group programming like one-to-one, where and what ends up happening is people in the group don't comment, they start going directly to you for everything. So you have to be able to loop people back, right? And say, hey, great question, could you post that in the group? Hey, great question, could you post that in the group? And you have to start to train the engagement that you want in the way that you want. So when I think about group programming, you've got to remember people who are used to one-on-one, even one-on-one clients, if you want to keep a community going, like imagine it's like a flywheel, then every time there is no post in that group, every time there is no engagement in that group, that flywheel slows down. And when that flywheel slows down, the engagement goes down. And when the engagement goes down, the perceived value goes down. And when the perceived value goes down, people stop using it. Because no one wants to be that one person in a group that's like, I'll ask a question here, right? It's kind of like the first person phenomenon, right? Like there's always got to be one person, but like when there's only 2 or 3 people in the group, people feel weird. So you have to be the one to drive it. So it's a bit harder work at the start. for you. Some people love it. They love group. They'll be on there. They'll do this and they'll be posting in the group a lot. It's up to you. So why that's important, step A, is that you're effectively pressure testing and you are practicing and building the foundation for your group program. Because I would rather have a problem with my group program when I'm adding my clients to it and there's no expectation. They're still getting their service. It's just a bonus. It's an add-on. It's like an extra thing. It's like, by the way, I'm adding this little group. It's just a bonus. It's a value bonus. I'm going to introduce you to a couple of other clients, and you bring people in and you facilitate the relationship, the engagement, and the conversation. And you learn for 30 days to 2 months what the good is and what the bad is. Because there's nothing worse than starting a group program and then realizing that you hate it. No, there's no fee. I wouldn't add it as a fee. For example, when I started with 10 clients and then I just productized my stuff together. And then I invited people to I started doing a monthly workshop or a webinar at the time on a particular topic, and I invited everybody to it. And it was just an extra bonus. So I always thought about it, hey, by the way, I'm adding these sessions to add some more value. It's totally on me, but it's to really just help get you the results faster. So treat it like it's something that you're giving as part of what your service is, but you're not asking for anything more. They're effectively helping you build out your group program. So if you hate it or you don't like it, then don't start a group program, because I've got clients who are earning very good money doing one-to-one and they love it. And I've got clients doing very good one-to-many. But what I see a lot of people do really well is they do a little bit of both. They do a bit of hybrid. And so that's what I found to be, for me personally, the best way, because access is what drives ascension. And so what we do is step B in this. Step B is you create what I call if you've got personalized at the top, what you would do is how do you create a hybrid between personalized and the next program, down? What's a downsell in a way? So you might say that you have a program that is more one-to-many, right? Right, which is what you... And what I find is one-to-many, people go, that's great, but people will still want some level of support. And so what I find is, again, if you are going to add one-to-one in, okay, because one-to-many is fine, but it doesn't mean that people don't still want one-to-one support. So you either provision for it or you get surprised by it. And so what I look at is letting people know, like, well, how do you put the one-on-one into a one-to-many program, especially when you first start? I'll go into this in a bit more detail in a second. But if you think about personalization, what's a word that's a step down from personalization that doesn't sound like less value? Because it's not. What would it be, do you reckon? What would you reckon? What's a word that's down? Like, what would you call your program if it's not personalized? What would you call it? And there's no right answer, by the way. I'm just curious. What would you call your program? How would you refer to it? Because people sometimes, if you don't see value in it, you go, oh, it's my downsell offer. Yeah, community is a great word, Ivan. Community, group program, community program. Yep. So what I do is, instead of calling it like I don't even call it personalized. What you think about is, if we take what Ivan said there, it's your community offer, which speaks to the mechanism. It's one-to-many. You might say that we catch up and we do a quarterly one-on-one. Just that, just a check-in, one-on-one, every quarter. And how long? Well, it's an hour to 90 minutes. And if they need anything, they can come to the group. Now, here's where it gets tricky. A group program, if you're not going to give one-to-one access, which is the whole point of it, really, a group program is going to come down to, delete this out, is going to come down to rhythms. I see people suck at this all the time. Does anybody here, who watches Netflix? Who has Netflix or some kind of streaming service? Right, anybody in the, yep. Can you imagine that if you had Netflix and every time you logged on, it was the same TV shows every day, every week, every month? How long would you keep your subscription for? People just, you'd be gone. I'd be out. You're like, cool, this is great, but yeah, 2 days, yeah, if that, 24 hours, right? Like, oh, I've seen this show, sucks. So variety is the key to a group program. Think about it like Netflix. You've got to show people what's coming up, and it's got to be future focused. So what I find, if I was to put it into a container, is that you need to give people something that they can interact with every day. Now, it could be a channel. We have Circle. We've got our own expert arena. So there's something happening every day. Maybe you post every day in that group. Maybe there's something that they can interact with every day. They can share their wins, or they can update their numbers, or they can watch on-demand content, whatever it is. And then every week, something should happen. There should be a new session, a new topic. And by the way, here's a little hint. Most of what you would talk about is already here anyway. You've got most of it. Most of the principles, the IP, the phases. Just like we do with a sprint, you take something out, a module or a piece, and that could be the theme of the week. And so every week, like you might have we have a Solve It session, because obviously that helps pull people together in an AM and PM session. So if you need anything about the program, something that you're going through, somewhere that you're stuck, something that's got you can't move forward on, and you don't have a coaching session booked in, because if you're in a group session, you don't have coaching one-on-ones, this is the place to do it. So you educate your clients on how to use that. And then once a week, we do a masterclass where I come in and I teach a topic that's important to growing your business. It's to do with sales, it's to do with marketing, it's to do with delivery, or it's to do with systems. So you choose the three things, which you have a model, right? So you might call it, week 1, it's the bottom of my triangle theme. Week 2, week 3, and at the end of the month, it could be a Q&A with you, speed coaching. That could be it. That could be as much as you do. And then you go every month. So every month, what could you do every month? Every month, you might do a workshop. You might do a small event. You might do a showcase. You might do a hot seat. You might do an interview. You might bring in someone external. You might get a client to share their results. You might bring in a supplier or someone like that software provider that you can talk to your clients about. So every month you just do a kind of a special topic. So this is the month, I think, is kind of to do with the theme. These are to do with the topics. This is to do with the tactics, right? And then every quarter, this is what we do, but we would do a half day, or you can even start with a half day. But you would do like an intensive or a special showcase of what you do. Now, if you're starting off and you're like, you could do an offsite, you could do an experience, you could take people on a retreat. When people know what the rhythms are, this becomes the reason. So you know, think about like when you go to school, there is rhythms, right? There's homeroom, you know, I don't know, it changes for everyone. Start of the day, there's homeroom, then you have period 1, period 2, then you have lunch, and period 3, period 4, and then you do it every month, then they do this thing, they have an assembly, and blah, 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 blah. Terrible, boring example, but rhythms and routine drive results. Rhythms and routine drive results. That's why if you have a group program, it's not just about having, I've got this group fluffy program, it's rhythms and routine drives results. So at some point, you still have to be results focused. So rhythms and routine drive results. So you have to be very clear about the results that we're still going after. So today, why I'm here and we're doing this, it's because you're all in different places, right? So for example, you might still need to grow your business and just focus on the fundamentals. So you've got your money model, you've got your outreach, organic strategy happening. We just need to double down on this. And you might go, even if you've only got 2 clients or whatever it is at this point, the next step for you might be to, well, I'm going to invite them together. We're going to meet each other. Could be in person, could be online. And that's what you could do for the next 90 days is just start once a month, you do a particular like catch up, deep dive. The reason that step 3 on this is number 3, is that what I've found is that if you want to grow a group program from the get-go, you're like, well, Rana, you know, like, I really want to do that, is that you go, fine, no worries. Like, see how you can see this looks like a triangle? Well, if I take that and I make it a triangle and I do this and we go, great. At the bottom, it's productized. At the top, it's personalized. And in the middle, there's a process. So what I look at is all your IP and your resources will sit somewhere that people can access it. Then at the top, there is a plan that you want them to work through. There is phases, there is principles, and there's a plan. And the idea of that is to deliver a promise. And that could be your one to many. This is your one to infinity. They can access that whenever they want. And then at the top is your one-to-one. This is where you can deliver based on the frequency that you want. You can actually work with the person closer. Now, even if you're just starting and you have an A and a B offer, you choose, hey, we've got an A offer, it's group-led, or B, which is more personalized. Worst case scenario, you've got to do what's right for you. For the sake of getting people into your program and helping them, some people might choose A, and as a bonus, you might give them a few extra one-on-one sessions in the first couple of months as you're building and growing your program. Because ultimately, this here, why we do it like that is because it's about access. You know, like you don't want to make yourself so shut off that only people who work with you have to pay the top level, because there are people that will probably want to work with you that may start an A and go to B. And we've talked about this in our program, in our offer architecture. But as I said, before you start doing a group program, it's my recommendation, and all I can give you is a recommendation, is 1, build out your one-on-one coaching, like get enough clients in, and as you're doing it, start to become really aware of how you do what you do and what you want them to do, the things that you repeatedly give people, repeatedly say, repeatedly do, put it into a model. We call it a money model. And then as you've got this pretty close, you're pretty clear on what that is, which you should have experts, because it's what we get you to do from day dot, is then you would try bringing your clients into a weekly session or a monthly session and start to facilitate and get an idea of how you feel about it. You might really love it and go, I love this. This is what I want to do. And I'm going to just start selling this straight away. You might hate it and go, oh, God, this is really hard. Like, it's really hard to manage 15, 20 people at once. How do I do it? Or option 3, once you've done that and you start to learn how to facilitate and structure your group programs, you might start thinking about rhythms. What are the rhythms for my group program? Where do I put people? Where do they go every day? Every week, what sessions do I give them access to? Importantly, you want to make sure that you're not, you're doing it around your lifestyle, not around where you think everyone wants, because there's no perfect curriculum. There's no perfect program. It's what you can consistently and excitedly show up for. Every month, do you want to do something every month where you can get people together? You do it, like I said, and then you decide what it is. Start with a version 1. Your programming will change. It won't be the way you keep it forever. But version 1, like anything, get a bit of structure. And then when you're pretty confident you have something pretty good and you've got like a few people in your group program, you've got a few people in your one-to-one, then you can start selling an A or B offer straight up. Like as in an A-B, meaning A, access to you only one-on-one, B, group only. Give people choice. And then people know if they want more help, they can actually come up to the next option with you. So that's how I would look at doing it. So within 90 days, you can move your group clients. First you move them into this, and then over time, you keep this. Once you've built it, then you just invite them down. Like that just becomes this. They just get access to these sessions as part of it. They might not, one-on-one clients might not use it. They might not want to. They might want to. But then you start to build up a community of people that builds the base. So ultimately, your program will look like, you could say that 80% of people will be in your one-to-many, and 20% of people will be in your one-to-one. It's never going to be like that perfect, but that's kind of the idea, right? Over time, is that you would have a business that you've got the structure, the systems, the processes to start to work with people at scale. And if we go back, that's obviously the idea of how to scale coaching is scale time, leverage time. You can get access to more people in the marketplace because there are people who can only afford a certain amount, so they can still get access to your strategies. Delivery efficiency, yeah, of course, you can share ideas at scale, time leverage, impact at scale, all that sort of stuff. Great content. I found the challenge is when I go on holiday, 3 to 4 weeks annual trip, keeping the momentum and contact when I'm turned off and unavailable. Yeah. So good. This is the thing, right? You got a couple of options. Option 1, you let people know if you're away for 3 to 4 weeks. Ivan, I would have a virtual assistant that can actually start to at least facilitate some of the core things in the group. So just the group keeps running. Like if I have a team that can respond to people while I'm away. I have been away in Italy, Spain, last few years, Portugal, and I have a Vaughan, right? So Vaughan can step in, like I'll be stepping in and helping Vaughan tomorrow with the Solve It sessions. In the past, and I know mutual friends of ours that they just get up at 2 a.m. in the morning once a week and deliver a session. It's kind of the trade-off, right? Like there's for the inconvenience of 3 to 4 weeks, there's the convenience of 48. And I think there's an expectation that in the group you will be there, and you don't need to. Me personally, I would have the sessions ready to go. Make sure that people are going to show up, get up, show up for an hour, go back to bed. I actually even have friends who change the timings while they're away. They say, "Hey guys, this month I'm actually away. Instead of doing it at this and this time, I'm moving it to these times. So trying to make it convenient for them because they're your clients, but whilst trying to make it convenient and workable for you that doesn't interrupt. You wouldn't want to do something, you're traveling around the country and at 1 p.m. you've got a session. That's not going to be fun for you. So they're the options, Ivan, that I would suggest. Does that help, mate? I know that's like, yeah. Or you could just hire an AI mate now and just like pretend it's you. No, I'm just coming soon, Ivan, 24 hours a day. Yeah, it'll be ask Ivan anything at any time of the day. God, do you sleep? No, I don't. That's how I'm getting so shredded, Ivan says. The group needs video training. What is that, a statement or a question, Rob? Do they need video training? Is that what you're asking?
Well, to make it feasible, you need to, if you're teaching everybody the same thing week after week, it's best to do it on video, and then you can have a solve it session for follow-up questions.
Yeah, look, I don't have. You can have modules and videos. Like, I don't have videos before a masterclass or anything, right? But you do need, as I said, ultimately, if you want to create a group program, you're going to need a curriculum. It's like, imagine having a school and saying, we don't have any curriculum, just come to school. So yeah, of course, you need some content. You need something, some productized version of you that people can access. And then because ultimately that's the core. The core is your content. It's the promise. It's the thing that your people are coming to. So if I drew out our triangle, the promise in the middle is it's always everything that you do is related to that, whether it's group or one-on-one. Like, you still need to get people to that point. Like today, if you want to build a 500K consulting business, there is going to be some part of your business that over time, once you get enough one-on-one clients, you're going to hit a point where you're not going to be able to scale beyond that, and you're going to start hating your business if all you're doing is doing one-on-one coaching all the time. And then when you go to India, you've got bloody 15 calls a week. You're gonna business becomes a bit frustrating. So yeah, you're going to need group program design is important. Yes, you will need some curriculum in the form of videos or training. It's helpful to give people reference points so they can view it and therefore consume it and come with some baseline knowledge and information. So when you talk to people, there is some understanding of what you're talking to them about. But guys, look, thanks for joining us for today's masterclass. Hope you got some big insights out of it. Take care, guys. Bye for now. See ya.
If you've liked today's masterclass, please do me a favor, like, subscribe, and comment so we can hear from you and get this out to more consultants just like you who are looking to grow their practices to 500K and beyond. Helping consultants find their true worth and commercialize it in the marketplace is why we exist. If you'd like to learn how you can grow your consulting business, head on over to expertproject.com. Learn a bit more about what we do, download some more of our free resources, or follow us on social media. We'd love to hear from you. And if you want a direct access link into one of our teams so we can learn a bit more about your business, what you're wanting to create, and how we might be able to help, head on over to expertproject.com/launch. Give us a bit of detail about you, your business, and we look forward to having a chat with you and helping you grow your consulting business. In the meantime, take care and bye for now.